I wrote this book because I was noticing that I was living an increasingly constantly connected life, connected through cell, connected through email, connected through social networks. And yet, my constantly connected life was also creating a constant feeling of rush and kind of constant stress. And I realized that I wanted to live this 2.0 life, but I wanted to live wisdom 2.0 rather than stress 2.0. I wanted to use these great technologies of our age effectively and creatively, rather than feel burdened and overwhelmed and constant in information overload. So what I did is I looked at how do I do that in this day and age? And I went back to the ancient wisdom traditions like Zen and other traditions and brought in those ancient teachings and applied them to our modern times. So Wisdom 2.0 is really a book that's for people who want to live wisely and creatively while connected and benefiting from these technologies. There's a story about a young woman who walks into a cafe and she sees an old man with a wrinkly face and gray hair, and he's hunched over at a table playing on his computer, doing something on his computer. And she sits down next to him and notices he's playing World of Warcraft, and he's an amazingly skilled player. And she's in awe at how fast his hands move and what a good player he is. And at one point the man stands up and his bones creak, and he walks slowly over to a table and grabs his coffee and walks back to where he was sitting, and he sits down and his bones creak again. And the young woman asks him, I've been watching you, I've been amazed at how skilled you are at computers, what's your secret? He says, oh well, I survive on nothing but Twinkies, I drink 8 glasses of coffee a day, and I never go outside, and I'm online at least 14 hours a day. She says, that's amazing, and that's amazing, and you've managed to live to such a ripe old age. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? And he says, I'm 28. And I realized I wanted a constantly connected life, but I wanted a constantly connected life that didn't make me age faster, that didn't make it difficult for me to go to sleep, that didn't make it make me feeling like I was in a constant state of rush and hurry. So the book is for those who want a meaningful and purposeful and creative connected life rather than a stressful and draining and unproductive, constantly connected life. There's a chapter on waiting. Now, many of us, every day we wait for something. We wait for the train, we wait for an elevator, we wait at a red light, we wait in line at stores. And often there's a sense in waiting that this shouldn't be happening. The line should be moving faster, the light should be turning, and from this, we bring a sense of stress into our lives, a sense of frustration. So for example, one daily practice in one chapter focuses on ways to use the breath in these situations. So when we get caught up in our mind while we're waiting and caught up in frustration, we bring our attention back to the breath. So in that moment, we're actually using it as if the universe in its ultimate kindness and wisdom is giving us a little break from the day. That we have 1 minute at a red light, not to sit in frustration, but to sit and to calm and focus and create ease from that 1 minute, rather than having 1 minute at a red light or waiting in a line and bringing that into our work and into our relationships and into our emails. So there's various tools like that throughout the books that look at how do we use daily life situations in a positive way rather than allowing them to create negative repercussions in our lives. So throughout the book, there's numerous tools that are suggested to integrate into our daily lives. So it's not like you need to kind of find an extra hour in the morning or an extra hour at night to sit in full lotus position and chant or meditate or do something like that. You can if you want, but the book is really focused more on how do we use daily life experiences. And one tool that's offered is to do one thing at a time. And there's a story about a great samurai who was the toughest samurai in the whole land. And he goes to meet an old Zen master one day, and he approaches the Zen master and says, I have all these powers. I can defeat 100 people in battle. I can jump on buildings. I can fly through walls. And I'm known throughout the land. You're also known throughout the land. Everyone speaks so highly of you, but what powers do you possess? You don't look that impressive to me. And the old Zen master took a deep breath and took a drink of his tea, and he said, "Oh, samurai, I have just but one power. When I eat, I just eat. When I walk, I just walk. And when I talk, I just talk." And the samurai, as the story goes, left and got frustrated, and everyone else got enlightened, as in all Zen stories. But the teaching is the importance of doing one thing at a time. And in this constantly connected world, it's easy to be tucking in our cell while we're IMing, while we're doing all these different things. And even though it feels like we're actually accomplishing a lot while doing that, in fact, studies show that we're not nearly as productive, and that we're often more stressful when we're doing it because we're not as attentive to each action. We're not just here to get by in life. We're not just here to send, who can send the most emails in life, and we get to our deathbed and kind of, somehow that's going to be important on our deathbed. But what's going to be important on our deathbed is something else. It's the meaning, it's the purpose, it's the spirit that we bring to all of our actions. And if our actions are emails and cells, well, how do we bring our meaning and spirit and purpose to that, through that avenue, through that door? And, I've talked on the cell phone while sitting and going to the bathroom, and tried to IM people while my child was trying to talk to me. And, it's not that I've mastered any of this, but I think the book really focuses on shifting this conversation from how do we be constantly connected to how do we be creatively and consciously connected, so that, at that moment on our deathbed, whether it's 5 minutes from now, 5 years, or 50 years, there is a sense of a full life, of a feeling that we brought our whole being into our life and into our work and into the technologies of our time.